distinguished elected officials. And we want to send get well wishes to State Representative Renee Kozel, who had to cancel today because of illness, and also our new 98th District State Representative, Natalie Manley. So the reason that the program is reduced to newly elected State Senator Jennifer Bertino Tarrant and me is because Natalie Manley and Renee Kozel both had to cancel due to illness. I want to touch on three matters of local interest. I noticed that the title of today's program is Local Legislative Update, Local Legislative Outlook. I want to touch on three local issues, and then we'll get around to the P word, and I'm sure you'll all know what I'm talking about. IYC Joliet, Illinois Youth Center Joliet, on McDonough Street, of course. The governor persists. I can see the frown on Jim Glasgow's face right now. The governor persists in his plan to close Illinois Youth Center Joliet. Illinois Youth Center Joliet, of course, is the only all-maximum security facility in the state's Department of Juvenile Justice. And perhaps the sides have been unfairly depicted here. The Department of Juvenile Justice has 8 facilities statewide with a total of 1,500 beds. There are 900 youth who are in these 8 facilities, so obviously there's excess capacity in the Department of Juvenile Justice's 8 facilities across the state. I don't deny that. And also the state has had some success with a program called Redeploy Illinois, which takes minimum and medium level offenders and places them in aggressive, comprehensive, community-based treatment. So it's good that Redeploy Illinois is working and reducing the recidivism rate among youthful offenders. And it's undeniable that there's excess capacity in the system. IYC Joliet has the hardest felons in the system. So the way that a young man earns a bed at IYC Joliet is by committing a severe felony, murder, rape, armed robbery, or by attacking an inmate or staff member at one of these other DJJ facilities. So Representative Larry Walsh Jr. has been doing an excellent job on this. He and I have continued to maintain to the governor that there is a need for IYC Joliet. And about 40% of the residents there, the young offenders, are what are called are young men who are in the Cook County court system, and the state ferries them back and forth to court up there. And before the administration started moving young men out of this facility, there were about 240, 250 of them. 85% of them are from Cook County. And I never thought location would matter with a youth prison, but it does. So it's cost effective for these consent decree youth who have to be taken up to court at 26 in California. It's cost effective for the state to have them here in Joliet, relatively short run up to 26 in California. Certainly a shorter run than from Kewanee, Murfreesboro, or St. Charles, which is where the governor wants to put these people. And also, again, since about 85% of the offenders out there are from Cook County, and they're still teenagers, family visits can make a difference. So we maintain to the governor that, of course, we want to rehabilitate these young men. Family visits make a distance. I pointed out to the governor, he's been gracious, he's listened to us. I pointed out to him that Metro doesn't run to Murfreesboro, Metro doesn't run to Kewanee, it runs to Geneva, that's 7 miles from St. Charles. So again, in the interest of turning these young men away from a life of crime, we believe that IYC Joliet should remain open. It would take $8 million to keep it open, and Representative Walsh and I continue to discuss this with the Quinn administration officials, and we'll keep at it. You probably saw in the paper that the administration announced its intention to close the facility on February 22nd. You probably also saw in the paper that there was a bad fight out there last Friday that put 4 staff members in the hospital. And again, I mean, I never want to profit from anyone's pain or injury or loss, but I think that emphasizes the violent tendencies of the youth who are housed out there on McDonough Street, and why we need to keep this facility open. So IYC Joliet, the governor wants to close it February 22nd. We're going to keep negotiating with them to keep been two nearly identical gaming bills passed in the last two sessions of the Illinois General Assembly, which would allow 5 new casinos in the state of Illinois: Chicago, Waukegan, Danville, Rockford, and essentially somewhere in southern Cook County between Joliet and the Indiana line, which would obviously be perilous for the Joliet folks. We would, representatives of the two Joliet casinos tell me that we would probably lose customers from Frankfort, Mokina, Tinley Park, Orland, those areas. And of course, the Joliet casinos are a huge source of jobs in this area and also revenue for the city of Joliet. Well, the fix we're in with these gaming bills is that there's something in them for everybody, except those of us from the original riverboat town. I mentioned the 5 parts of the state that would get casinos. Also, racetracks would be able to set up slot machines at the tracks. So that brought in a lot of downstate votes, including from people who normally, it seems to me, are more morally opposed to the expansion of gambling, but believe it would benefit farmers and horse breeders in their areas. So I continue to talk to the bill sponsor, Senator Terry Lincoln of Waukegan, and continue to talk to the governor's people. We can't lose sight of this, though. Even though the legislation says that the South Suburban vote shall go in one of, I think it's 6 townships between Joliet and the Indiana line, the final decision on where to site the vote will be the gaming boards. It's not the legislature's decision where to site the vote. It's not the governor's decision where to site the vote. It's the gaming board's decision. And they've heard our argument that oversaturation, cannibalization of this market won't do anyone any good. Transportation. Obviously, the 43rd District, Joliet-Will County, is blessed with a marvelous network of roads, rail lines, pipelines, waterways. There was a supplemental appropriation bill before the General Assembly just a week or 2 ago that drew my interest. I was told in caucus that the money in this bill was federal money that the state didn't realize last May when we adopted the budget. The state didn't realize it was going to get this federal money. And it was almost $1 billion, which shows the scale of things. $675 million in this supplemental appropriation is for IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation, largely for bridges. You know, we have a lot of bridges in our area in the state of Illinois that need to be rebuilt. There's also $11 million in the supplemental appropriation for the Iliad Expressway, which would obviously be a boon to our area, reduce congestion on existing interstates and existing roads, and allow us to make the most of the intermodals. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, it was due to a disagreement in the Democratic caucus that bill went down. It didn't even make it out of committee. So I'm really concerned about this. And I've talked to Senate budget staff, I've talked to Senate President Fullerton about this, about the need to provide the supplemental appropriation, because we need that $675 million for the Illinois Department of Transportation for bridges, and we certainly need that $11 million for Iliad. So that is delayed. And while I've only been your state senator for 11 months now, I have the impression that IDOT is serious about building Iliad. They're not lollygagging. They really want to get this built. So again, 3 local issues that I work on almost every day: IYC Joliet, the gaming bill, and transportation, and now the P word, pensions. I'm probably more famous for my Irish melancholy than for being a natural-born optimist, but I actually see a little ray of hope regarding pensions. You know, Illinois' Constitution has very strong language prohibiting the diminishment or impairment of pension benefits. It's the 2nd strongest language in the country. Only New York's is stronger, and New York funds its pensions. And it seems to me that this has been a reason, let me put it this way. This has been a reason why all of the public employee unions who are assembled as the We Are One Illinois Coalition, it's this constitutional language, this constitutional prohibition against diminishing or impairing pension benefits that have kept the unions from coming to the table. Seems to be the attitude of at least one of them. Their attitude towards the legislatures: do whatever you want, we'll just run to court. We don't care what we do, we'll run to court, and we'll get it tossed out. Well, there have been 3 pension bills introduced. There was one introduced by Senate President Cullerton last spring. There was one introduced in midsummer by Mike Fortner, a Republican from West Chicago. And then there was one introduced on December 5th, and this was notable. The bill was introduced by 21 rank-and-file House members, 19 Democrats to Republicans. None of those bills, of course, have gone anywhere. Well, last Wednesday, on the day that we were sworn in as the 98th General Assembly, after the ceremony was over, Senate President Cullerton introduced SB 1, Senate Bill 1, which is an amalgam of all 3 of those pension bills. So he took his original bill from last spring, he took Mike Fortner's bill from this past summer, and he took the Neckridge BIS bill, which was introduced on December 5th, and introduced them all as Senate Bill 1. Now, I think the benefit of, well, and then something happened in mid-December, which gives me some optimism. The We Are One Coalition, so that's the Illinois Federation of Teachers, the Illinois Education Association, AFSCME, the State Employees Union, and some other unions representing public employees. They had a press conference and they called for, they made 2 important announcements. They said, we'd be willing to increase our employee contribution, the amount that a state employee or a teacher or a university employee pays off his or her check, 2%. So they acknowledged that. They're willing to have their members pay 2% more off their check as the employees share towards pension. And they said, we're calling for a pension summit in January, which to me means we're willing to come to the table. They're not hiding anymore. So the fact that Senate President Cullerton introduced this Senate Bill 1, which again is an amalgam of all 3 bills, it's got lots of features in it, probably 15 different features, how COLA would be adjusted, retirement ages would be changed, things like that. The fact that that bill is on the table and the unions have said, we want to come to the table, that gives me hope. Because again, none of the 3 pension bills that have come before us have been the results of talks among the stakeholders. And absent talks among the stakeholders, a lawsuit is a certainty. So I talked to Eric Madeira, who was Senate President Cullerton's pension expert, last Friday, and I asked if the Senate Democrats will participate in this pension summit. And he said, yes, we will. So that's one of 4 caucuses. But believe me, and I know you share my frustration about the lack of action on pensions in our state, that's a little bit of progress. So again, because Cullerton has introduced a bill which has all these different features in it, and because the unions have asked for a summit, I'm hopeful that there will be talks. I'm hopeful that the stakeholders will come together sometime this month, and we'll be able to make some progress. One more note before I turn this over to Jennifer. Jennifer and I talked together at Providence Catholic High School 20 years ago, so I know she, for one, won't be surprised that I'm suggesting homework. This is the best guide I've seen to Illinois' fiscal woes. Paul Volcker and Richard Ravitch, who is an eminent figure in government finance, they convened the State Budget Crisis Task Force last year, and they studied 6 states. Illinois is one of them. And they issued this report back in October. And it's the best compendium I've seen of what ails our state when it comes to taxes and fiscal policy. And I don't know how many of you have pens. You probably have great memories. Here's where you can get it. www.statebudgetcrisis.org. It's about 45 pages. And I really recommend this to you. It's written in plain English. It's incisive. It doesn't seem to have any ideological axe to grind. You know, it doesn't come from the Civic Club of Chicago or the Teachers Union. Again, www.statebudgetcrisis.org. Thank you.
It's a little education based. We're going to change that, I think. But thank you very much. Well, as Senator McGuire mentioned, you're dealing today with new and newer. So it was nice to listen to Senator McGuire and share with you some of this information, because we had pretty much a weekend seminar where they gave us the blitz information of every single major issue, where you just kind of stared at everyone and said, oh my gosh. I've come to the resolution that, and I did this prior to the campaign, that I'm going to be paying for the sins of our predecessors, and I'm not going to say I'm looking forward to that, but I am prepared for that, and I'm eager to get my feet wet and have solutions, because we need solutions, because we cannot continue on this track. I have been a senator now for not even a week. We were sworn in last Wednesday to a wonderful, wonderful ceremony. I can tell you that I have pressed the button 3 times, all green, all yeses, so I was in consensus with everyone. And so I am officially a senator. We were joking here earlier about our offices and where we're located. I can't even tell you where I'm located, so down the totem pole. But regardless of that, I am anxious to get started. I have a reputation of asking a lot of why questions. And, you know, Senator McGuire was sharing some of this information regarding gaming. I was talking to one of the staff members saying, why are we not getting this information? You know, we're going to need to start doing this. And I've already been told that, Jen, I've already told them, you're pretty, I make up my mind pretty quickly. And unless you're willing to listen to me or negotiate with me until the very last minute, they're not coming. I've already had during the campaign, it was quite an experience. They try to sell you on things, and I'm like a little 3-year-old. No. So that's going to be a good thing, hopefully not a bad thing, because my goal here is to work for my community, and I don't expect outside influences to make me change my mind what's best for this community. I've had the pleasure of meeting with the 7 local mayors through this past, since my election, and I've heard pretty much 3 major themes. We need jobs, we need to get our revenue going, we need to work on transportation, and probably the most loud and clear is leave us alone, keep your hand out of our cookie jar. You know, the state's in trouble and they keep pulling it away from us. And while I'm an educator, I can appreciate all that, because although it's not municipalities, educators feel the same way. And I think people are very surprised. A lot of the issues that are in the county, that are in our municipalities, we see them in education. It's just a little more defined and different for us. I'm eager to work locally with our mayors. We have a great bunch of public servants who really want the best for the community. And my #1 goal is to work for my community. I'm going to be honest, they're not going to come to me for pension reform. They're not looking for me for suggestions. They're not looking to me to tell me, Jennifer, how are you going to create jobs? What they want me to do is listen and bring that back to their community. They want me to listen to the people in my community and tell them how we can help them. And that is going to be my #1 goal. So that's locally. Bigger picture, as Senator McGuire said, is pensions. Obviously, Senate Bill 1 was introduced already. I have a copy that's come over to my email. They warn you, don't read it yet. It has not been analyzed. But I'm one of those people I want to be able to understand. This is really nerve-wracking for me because I don't understand a lot. I'm speaking here kind of off the cuff. I'd like to understand what is going on. But Senate Bill 1 is up there. Is out there. It has not been analyzed, so we do not know the good and the bad. What they will be looking for from me is more of my relationships with the union. Obviously, this is going to impact me. I have a small pension with the teacher retirement system. I'm not have a lot of years invested in that. But they're going to look at me to be the go-between, to get people to the table to help understand. We need a solution that is constitutional, that's agreeable, and that's fair. And as Senator McGuire said, for the first time, we're going to get everyone at the table. When everyone's at the table, things will be accomplished. And I look forward to being there and being the voice for educators and the people who are in this system. Because we cannot punish the people who have done what they've done, but at the same time, we cannot continue to go down this road. I read somewhere that since 1950s, when it's been going on all the way back to the 50s. It was never well thought out. It was never well planned, and we need to make sure that it does not continue this way. The second thing is job creation. So what I found very interesting is we've all heard about the Department of Commerce and Economic Development, the DCEO. There has been now talks about dismantling that organization and setting it up into 2 separate organizations. One is an authority and one is a 501c3. It was funny when I was talking to someone regarding, they said it's pretty much like what we do here at the Will County Center of Economic Development. And when they had discussions with our local municipalities, our local county governments, they said it doesn't work. That system doesn't work. So what they're hoping to do, and once again, this is a large picture of what we're planning to work on during the 90th General Assembly, is to bring authority that combines public and private. And when you hear that, some people get nervous about that. But we all know that we are a state that has successful public work, and we have successful private entities. And we need to make sure that we're all together on the same page. So they are in the work of, it's just exploratory, creating a board that consists of both private and public. Second thing is to open up communications. The DCO, once again, one of the biggest faults is that people do not understand what's going on. There's not enough communication. It's rapid. Things are done to them. And that is the second one of their goals, is to provide better communication. And third, and most importantly, is to allow counties to have real input, not just voices. So once again, something very new to focus on job creation. Please be aware of it, but I think it's very exciting because we all know we need jobs here. And this could be our answer to some quality, good job creation. Third big picture, once again, just because of my background is education in general, college and career readiness, we're seeing a lot of changes in education. And since that is my background, you can be assured that I will be very vocal in promoting our local junior colleges, our public school system, and fighting for them. We spend a lot of money on education, and we need to make sure that we are producing quality students that are ready for the workforce and who can come back to our county and do successful things. That is about all they have given me so far. I don't know if they're easing us into it, but I look forward. We are establishing an office. We're going to be out on Route 30, or Route 59 and 30. We'll be getting information out, but please, 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 do not hesitate to contact me. I have 4 years, and whether or not I decide to do this again after 4 years, I'm going to work very hard to make this community proud of me. So in 4 years, whether I decide to do it or not, you can say she is the person we need to go to if we're going to get things done in Will County. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
In the interest of time, still ask Jennifer and Pat if they would come up and entertain a few questions. We won't delay you too long, but if you have someone in the audience who would like to ask questions, there's a lot going on in government, so I can't get to all of them, but if 1, 2, 3, anyone? Oh, they answer all your questions.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Recently, in the news last week, we saw where Senate Bill 734, the casino expansion bill that was sitting on Mr. Cortland's desk, was recently sent to the governor for signature. Can you elaborate a little bit about that and kind of the overall prospects of gaming expansion in 2013?
The gaming expansion bill that was passed last spring was vetoed by the governor, and then the sponsor didn't have enough votes to override it. So Senator Link's most recent gaming expansion bill, as I understand it, that's dead. But then the precursor bill is now once again alive. That's all I can tell you about that situation right now.
Senator, the Capitol Fact said this morning that the governor will veto the bill.
That he will veto it.
That's based upon some discussion with the PR.
Anyone else? Yes.
My question's actually for Jennifer. In regards to education, I was wondering if the relationship or what's been being said in terms of the early childhood education, only because we know that as far as all the way to college to career starts very young, but also with Illinois receiving the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge Grant and the and how it's going to affect both the education as well as the workforce coming out?
I'm not shy to say I'm a strong proponent of early childhood education. Just someone who has benefited from that, my son. And unfortunately, at this time, as I said, do you have a proponent? Absolutely. I'm not shy to say that. At this time, they have not even assigned us committees at all. We're able to make suggestions. Obviously, that is one of the suggestions that I put in. I was able to talk briefly to the chair of the committee just in case, and he is well aware of all my passions. But obviously, early childhood all the way to college level, sorry, is significant. And I've dealt with the gamut. I have worked from A to Z, and I look forward to continuing to promote that. But unfortunately, at this time, I have not, there's been no discussion on removing things or leaving it.
Yes, Arlene.
Yeah, as we're explaining to the spectator, could you tell us all, as much as you know, what's going on with the gun legislation?
Right. When we were in last week, maybe it was the week before, there were 2 gun bills introduced in response to the massacre in Newtown, Connecticut. One would have restricted the sale in the state of Illinois of magazines holding more than 10 rounds. The other was depicted as an assault weapons ban. And I went to those bills were heard in the Senate Public Health Committee, and I've been told that when the leadership wants a gun bill reported out to the floor, it sends the gun bill to the Public Health Committee. If it wants it to die, it sends it to the Agriculture Committee. So first of all, it was notable that these 2 bills were sent to Public Health, which is obviously populated by Chicago Democratic senators. During the testimony, weaknesses in those 2 bills were exposed. Regarding the magazines bill, there was a verification problem. And regarding the assault weapons ban, it appeared that some legitimate hunting weapons would wind up being banned under the bill as it was written. And I later talked to the sponsor, and he acknowledged that the bills needed work. So they were reported out of committee. Neither one came to the floor. And I hope that since the court has ordered us to adopt a concealed carry law by the end of the session, that we will take all these 3 aspects of guns up at once. A possible ban on high-capacity magazines, a possible ban on assault weapons, and a concealed carry law. It seems to make sense that we work on those three aspects comprehensively.